Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Here goes another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I said what? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye-ya, bye-ya, bye-ya. All it is, you can tell by that thumbnail, CMAC, right? The baby CMAC Crip on 55th, right? Nightmare on 55th Street. Orale, man, it's going to see all right. But one thing that's not going to see all right is the way people are seeing him because he went and established his time on a 50-50 yard. Now, wherever he was sent, man. And in Menudo style in a direct fashion, we're going to talk about the intricacies, the details of the 50-50 yard and what happens there and why it really don't matter, right? Now, I guess to some it does, but we're going to get to that. So trip out. You know, CMAC went to a 50-50 yard. He said it, fill it up with unleaded, right? But here's some knowledge you can't get in college. Let's take it back. Let's take it way back to Tehachapi in the 90s, right? One of the very first established 50-50 yards, one of the integrated yards. This is where they would send all the righteous DOs. When I say righteous, I mean people that were really affiliated in organizations or groups. And they would place them and they would integrate, okay? They would integrate PCs, people that were righteous PCs that were scared to be on the yards or things of that nature. They would have these guys that maybe were removed or maybe removed themselves from the yards. Anyways, this is where they would place them. They had 2 yards there. Okay, in 1 yard, you know, they had integrated. The other yard, they didn't. Now, and this is in the oil. They would place actives or people that were still general population in these yards, and it was up to them to get off where they were mad at or function. You know, if they function, then they might as well stay where they play because once you're part of that sandbox, that's it. You can't come back to the beach. That's just how it was, right? But, you know, back in them days, you know, people would more than likely take the necessary step to get away from there. They already knew where they were going. They already knew what time it was. It wasn't no mystery. It wasn't no secret. Everybody knew that that was a 50-50 yard. Now, 50-50 yard, for those of you that don't know, let me give you the rundown. That means usually the Mexicans on that yard are considered non-general population. Not all of them, okay? But some of them. The brothers that get sent there, the blacks that get sent there, are still considered general population, yet they go function on that yard. Because it really doesn't matter to them, because at the end of the day, that's Mexican politics, right? Now, there are some old school convicts, some old school blacks that feel some type of way. That's facts. There's people like S-Bone, and I say, hey, shout out to S-Bone, man. I seen his video where he said it doesn't matter. Once you're on a 50-50 yard, you can't go back to a 3 or 4 yard. The brothers are not going to accept you. Now, I have done time on 3 or 4 yards, and I'll tell you right now, I don't know the details. I function right there side by side with blacks on the same side of the yard. And I have known guys that did definitely go be on them 50-50 yards, and they did come back to a 3 or 4 yard, and they did function. Facts. I'd be, hey, I'm dying if I'm lying, right? If I sat here and lied to you, then I die with you, right? It's real talk. You know, I know a lot of people like to get into that gangster mode and feel real gangsterish, right? And try to say what they would and wouldn't do. But at the end of the day, you never know until you pull up and you're there. Okay, the California Department of Corrections, CDC, is prison. Prison is prison. Every yard rocks. Every single yard, all the way from the mess and wise to the active yards, they're going to have some type of rocking and rolling going on. Just the way it is. And if you think I'm lying, go test the waters. That's as if you don't get bit by a shark. Because there's sharks everywhere. There's people everywhere that ain't playing no games. Just because someone's not functioning as a gang member or someone's not up under an umbrella or he doesn't feel like, you know, he wants to be on a certain yard, he just wants to do his time and get his visitas, doesn't mean you could press up on him and talk any old way to him. He's going to stick something metalish in you. You know, word of the day, metalish. Metal militia, right? He's definitely going to get metalish on you. Heavy metal, too. That's just the way it is. Prison is prison. Never put your guard down and always stay aware. But the gist of this story is saying, you know, do blacks care about 50-50 yards? While incarcerated, to tell you the truth, most of the brothers are going to go wherever they're placed. That's facts, you know. Their politics are very, very so much different than, say, Mexicans, North and South. And we're not going to get into the details of politics here because this ain't that type of station, right? But one thing I will say for sure is everybody moves differently, yet everybody's in the same place. Okay, you're all locked up, so there's rules and regulations to being locked up. You know, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt kill, right? But thou shalt not steal. You can't be a jailhouse thief. You can't be no chomo. There's certain things that you can and cannot do because everybody looks at that some type of way. Okay, everyone is feeling some type of way about that. But there are a lot of details, intricate details and little things that other groups can get away with that other groups can't. Because some are more structured, some politics are more heavy. So some people, you know, there's no give. You give an inch, they'll take a mile. So there's no give. There's not even a fucking quarter inch. You can't have that, right? You already know if you're Mexicano and you're incarcerated and you have a bad jacket, or of course you've done told on someone and there's something bad in your past, or you've been on a certain yard you weren't supposed to be on even way back then, you're going to get rocked and rolled on. You're going to get Axl Rose. You're going to get slashed. Let's say Guns and Roses. Take me down to the paradise. They're not playing. Okay, you're not going to last too long in that yard. Once your filth is discovered, Vatos are feeling some type of way. They're taking out the trash. They feel that if you function on that yard, now they have become part of that association. It's guilt by association, and they don't do that. Now, in CMAC's favor, I'm sure this man, you know, was already given the game from county jail to what yards the Crips are deeper at, to what yards the Sangres are deeper at, to what yards the Mexicans are. You know, these are things that are told to you while incarcerated in the county jail to prepare you if you have a case and you're going to prison. You know, if you got righteous individuals lacing you up and giving you that education, they're going to tell you straight up, that's it. You know, hey, this is where we can go. This is what's all bad. This is what we do. This is how you do it. This is how long you have to do it. You should do it like this and like that and like this. And it's nothing but a G thing, right? And of course, it's totally up to you as a grown man to go to that yard and do what you feel you have to do. Now, I've been on both positions where I got to a 50-50 yard and I felt that for no other reason because I was still activated and still in the mix. I felt, hey, I got to get off. And so I picked my poison, man. I seen someone in R&R that I knew was all bad, got at him in a certain fashion, and then got at him in a vicious fashion, right? And I went to the oil, and of course I was shipped from there to Corco. But at the same time, that's just the way it is. Now, I know a lot has changed since I've been incarcerated. Okay, back in the days, the 50-50 yards were like where they would send dropouts that didn't want to go SNY. They would send people that either got removed or fell off. See, you had a choice back then. All these people that go on YouTube and try to give you the game and try to tell you one thing or another, they're feeding you propaganda and bullshit. You have a choice, man. You have a choice, or you did back then. I don't know how it is now. Now they're integrating everybody, so it's a little different. That's it, right? And CMAC, I'm sure, fell up under that different umbrella. But when you first would get in there, you know, say you're on the general population yard, something goes down, right? You're not in good standings no more. You did like I did, maybe a little red on red. You get caught with a bundle. You get caught with some dope. Something could happen that doesn't shine a good light on you within your group, depending on what group you're from. Now, the blacks are going to be a little bit different. A lot of people like to say watered down or they take it easy. I don't say that, right? Because their politics are different. What they adhere to and what they allow is going to be different than what the Woods allow, brother. And what the Woods allow, then say the Southsiders allow, is going to be different. Northerners, vice versa, right? Already, shout out to Vice, Tulare County. It's going to be different for everyone. And it doesn't mean anyone's watered down or anyone's suckers or punks. That's furthest from the truth. It just means every group moves differently. Okay? Every gang, every affiliation has their own results on how they're going to get them. It's totally up to them. Now, back in them days, you'd be placed in the oil and then you would have to go to committee. ICC, right? For those of you that know. For those of you that don't, here you go, right? You'd go to committee, and that's where they're going to decide whether you can go back to the general population yard and get poked on a little bit more, or if they're going to put you in an SNY and place you, right? But there's chronos. There's things you have to sign to let them know where you want to go. See, they can't just place you back in them days in an SNY for your own safety and security. Now, if you pose a threat to the safety and security of the institution, if they feel you're that one that's going to go back on the yard and poke someone and scrape someone, you're going to get your little scrapulization on, then they might just send you wherever they send you and fuck what you got coming, and they don't care. Hey, 602, hey, you can do whatever you want, man. Grieve them. Write a grievance, right? Write a 602. Do what you got to do. They're going to sit your ass in the hole, and you're going to fight that for a minute before you're up in it, right? And then eventually they'll say, okay, take your ass to the yard then to get stabbed up. They ain't tripping. But it's a hard fight, right? You got to get lawyers involved and things of that nature. But for the most part, they'll sit you down in committee and they'll make a decision based on your points, based on your record, your jacket, your C file, your 128G, who you are, what you were, if you were validated, affiliated. And they'll decide what options you have, whether you still have the option to go back to general population, if you have the option to go to a 50-50 yard, or if you have the option to go to SNY. And it's up to you to totally decide where you want to go. Okay, you sign off on that chrono. So a lot of the guys that say, well, I went here, I went there, most of the time they weren't just placed there, they asked to be placed there. Okay, stop it already. You asked to be go to somewhere. Okay, now when it comes to the brothers, it's a little bit different. One thing about the brothers is they cannot be validated. Facts. If you ever meet a brother, man, that says he was validated as a Crip or a Sangre or a Kumir, that's lies. They are not considered one of the big four. They are considered an STG group, a security threat, or a disruptive group. They are not considered one of the big four. Okay, we're not even going to get into all that. But one thing I will say for sure is they cannot be validated. That means they'll place them depending upon points and their rap sheet wherever they want. Now, of course, they're not going to put no fucking hardcore chomo on an active yard because they already know what time it is. But every once in a while, someone that caught something back in the 80s and early 90s will slide through. And it's up to the people that find out about it to deal with it, how they're going to deal with it. Now, if there's some hardcore chomo that's a black that comes on the yard, these are facts. Now, I'm giving you realness. No watered down and no hating on no one. If there's one that comes and the Mexicans or the whites figure him out and figure out that this guy, hey, what's he doing over here, man? They're not going to make a move on him. They're going to definitely go to the brothers and let them know, hey, that dude, here's his paperwork. It's all bad, bro. Look at, there's a picture of him doing this. You know what I mean? He's a weirdo, right? Handle your business. And of course, for the most part, the brothers will deal with their business in-house. They'll handle it. And if they decide not to handle it, then of course, you know, the other groups will get at him like, hey, if he doesn't go, then we're going to have to make him go. And of course, that's going to cause friction between us. And then everyone's going to be all bad, right? It's going to be all bad, yard down. That's usually how it goes. Right? Now, if it's vice versa, it's within the Mexicans, they're going to handle lickety split. Call it banana split. He's going to be doing the wabala, wabala, the wabala, wabala. He's going to be gone quick. Because one thing about the Mexicans and other groups is they're not trying to cause friction on that yard. They're just trying to deal with their own trash, and that's it. Now, when it comes to a 50-50 yard, I, myself, look, I'm going to be right here. See? Right here? Have been on a 50-50 yard. Yes, I have. Yes, indeed. I wrote graffiti, right? We didn't call it that. You know, it wasn't called that. That name came up later, or I heard about it later. So I didn't even associate with myself being on 50-50. I was just on a yard where there were non-active norteños. Still checking paperwork, still fighting if we had to, still doing our thing, sticking together, programming, functioning, doing our workouts or whatever. We just were not functioning under a certain group or organization. Facts, right? These 50-50 yards are very dangerous. You know, I know a lot of them now are 2 yards, 1 yards, or whatever the case may be. You know, I went to a 3 yard, you know, but back in the days, they were 2 yards and 1 yards that were 50-50s, and they were lightweight. People were doing small time, small change to a giant, right? So a lot of people are not trying to get caught up in the mix. They're not trying to go get locked up. Now, CMAC was placed on a level 1 or 2 50-50 yard, right? Now, when he's getting there and he's saying, yeah, you know, the brothers moved like this. We were still active. We were still doing our thing. It's not hard. It's not very hard to be active and gang memberish when all the other guys aren't. When all the other guys are just programming, doing their time and trying to get out, yeah, you could be the big dog for a minute. You could have your chest all poked out like Wes Watson and they could feel your aura, brother. But at the end of the day, what does that really make you? That doesn't make you better than anyone else on that yard, because I guarantee that if CMAC would have walked up to any Southsider that was non-active or any Northern that was non-active, he'd have got his whole mask cracked. He'd had less teeth than he does that waist side. I'm telling you right now, Vatos are not playing no games. They're still men. Men will be men. Not everybody is in protective custody or some punk or some sucker that has a bad case. A lot of them dudes, man, got removed because they couldn't pay a debt, or got removed, you know, because it was a bad call, or a lot of them fell off because they just didn't want to do that no more. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot of different situations. And unless you sit down and screen every motherfucker on that yard, you don't know. Now, of course, when you sit there and say, oh man, we were active, but they weren't, you still functioned with protective custody people. You still functioned with non-active gang members. You still did that. You walked in same hallways, that same yard, went to the same chow hall, slept in the same area. You did that. So does it mean birds of a feather flock together? Just because your group, you know, can be placed everywhere and your politics are just a little bit different, does that make you better? Or you can sit out and talk shit about the next man? No. 55th Street, CMAC. I have nothing bad to say about this guy. You know, I don't give a shit at the end of the day what yard he went to. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, that's black politics. That's hood. No. I'm a civilian, man. I don't care about none of that. I don't care about whose politics or what you could speak on or what you shouldn't. There's things that as a man I won't, and things that I did in the past and I shouldn't have. That's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I deal with the repercussions for my actions. No one else does, right? But one thing I'll say for sure, and I'm being real, man. Fuck all this fake stuff on other channels, man, where they're talking fakery, shaky and baker. I'm talking real life. I'm not proclaiming to be active in faking of the funk. I'm being real, okay? I'm telling you right now, if this volatile was there, cool. He did his time. It is what it is. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I know sour or spoiled milk or whatever he calls them, milk 65, I call him Leche, right? I know Leche has a whole lot to say about it, but you know damn well, Leche, that if they put you on a 50-50 yard, don't act like you're going to get off and do all that. They'll beat you up, bro. Straight up. You're going to be there. If the brothers say shut up, you're going to shut the fuck up. And that's it. Plain and simple, period. There's monsters in there and they'll sink your battleship, ese. There you go. There goes milk sinking. Look, watch out. Grooving. That's it. Plain and simple. The brothers move different than the Mexicans. That's a fact. We all know that. It doesn't mean anyone's better than anyone. Now, you got OGs like S-Bone that got something to say about it. He says that if CMAC, having been on a 50-50 yard, stop all that punk shit, stop that punk faking, he's saying, because if you hit a 3 or 4 yard, brothers are going to feel some type of way. And in some instances, yes, they are. Absolutely, I agree. When you have ex-convicts that have really been around the block, that are really highly respected, that know what the game is, that are real ex-convicts like S-Bone, he's telling you the absolute goddamn truth, right? Facts. You know, he's going to feel some type of way. Other brothers are going to feel some type of way, and some ain't going to care. Some ain't tripping. Usually if you got a homeboy from your hood, however they do it, it's all good, right? In some instances, it's not. That's why I say yards and CDC vary from yard to yard. Okay, when it comes to the Mexicans, everything follows you. Where'd you come from, Messi? I came from, before you could even, I wasn't going to say J-Town. There ain't no other J's. I was going to say the county jail, right? They're getting off, right? Quick. That's just the way it is, okay? The brothers might give you a little bit more benefit of the doubt. Like I said, they move how they move, man. Doesn't mean they're less gangsterish or with the program. It's just their program moves differently. But in some ways, everybody's an ex-convict, okay? So if CMAC did time on a 50-50 yards, really, to be totally, truly honest with you, some of the brothers are allowed to do that. Like I said, man, their politics and the way they move is much different, so it doesn't matter, you know? But when you get out and you're doing interviews, and you're belittling the Mexicans that were on those yards. Oh, like they're suckers, but we're not. They're punks, but we're not. You kicked it with them. There ain't no way in hell you ain't talked to them, shared a soap bar, did something. That's facts, man. You were on the yard, which what is considered trash and non-general population, and didn't get off. So what does that put you at? It doesn't matter if you're black, you're brown, you're green, you're yellow, you're white. Woods, brother. Coffee, right? It doesn't matter. Guard, doesn't matter. He said it don't matter, right? Fuck you, no, fuck me, or fuck me, or fuck you, right? He said it doesn't matter, but one thing for sure, and I'm telling you straight up, you know, it's all fine and dandy when you're in there doing your time. Everybody wants to do easy time, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl time and get the fuck on out, right? That's the whole process. That's the whole plan, is to go in there with less minimal damage to your body and inflict less minimal damage to people, so that way you can catch your date and you can get on down the road, and then you can see Mac and see walk down the street, right? And then you can donate to Lupe and do all the little things that you want to do, man, which is righteous. I ain't mad at you. Get yours. But at the same time, you can't get out and get interviewed and talk about these dudes were suckers, but I was solid. No, because you was on that same yard with these suckers. And we all know in the gang member realm, in real life, in hood shit, and hood politics and everything, bro, you know, if you're kicking it with these guys, you're guilt by association. They're going to automatically judge you. So that's why people are tripping. That's why people are feeling the same, you know, some type of way. I'm here to tell you, man, brothers do get placed on 50-50 yards, right? If they go to SNY yards, it's because they asked to go. And Mexicans as well. To go to SNY yards because you asked to go. You know, or you didn't ask, but you're like, you know, book it, I'll just go over there, and I'm going to go and kick it, right? That's how it is. 50-50 yards, you go to the yards, you function. There's still things that go down. You know, I know in Susanville for a while, the ex-Northerners and the whites were getting off on each other. To what reason, I know, but I can't really speak on that. But they were getting off on each other quite viciously, you know. And these were non-active Northerners that were getting off with the whites. Eventually, what they did was they took, because there wasn't too many non-active Northerners off the yard, the administration did, because they kept fighting, and they flipped the yard and made it a general population yard. See, that's what the CDC tends to do. One day, this could be a general population yard. The next day, it could be an SNY. They flip it. They like to flip yards according to what they got going on. Right now, we all know they're integrating yards. They stop, they start, they start, they stop. You know what I mean? They do what they do. They place perro chatos, bulldogs on certain yards. They put Southerners on certain yards, Northerners. Sometimes they divide them. Sometimes they provide them. Sometimes they affect them. Sometimes they wreck them. It just is up to the CDC what they're going to do. But with the brothers, man, they're usually placed on every yard. You always hear about it. Oh, they got the bulldogs. They function there with nothing but others and blacks. Oh, they got the Northerners. They function nothing but others and blacks. Oh, they got the Southsiders. There's whites, blacks, and Southsiders on the yard, right? You know, you always hear, but the one common denominator is there's always brothers on them yards. Like I said, the CDC places them because they're not validated. They're not security threat groups. Not saying they ain't good. Pick your poison, there, sir. Not saying they ain't about their action and they handle their business, because they do handle their business quite smoothly and efficiently, I might say. But at the same time, man, their structure and their politics and get down is a little different. So CMAC having been placed on a 50-50 yard, that ain't nothing new. That's normal. Some of the brothers go there, get out, and it is what it is. Some of them do go to 3 or 4 yards and accept it. They're accepted. If they got homeboys that are there in the right positions, bam, it is what it is, right? It gets swept under the rug and no one even talks about it, right? But to get out and talk about, oh, I was moving like this on 55th because it was real nifty and these essays wasn't doing a whole lot of nothing because they was all suckers, right? No. Stop it, bro. Stop it. Because you know in real life, you was right there beside him walking to the chow hall and you didn't do a damn thing. So if you feel a certain way now and they was all suckers, then why didn't you feel a certain way then? That's all I got to say. With that being said, Moose Moo with a purpose. There's the real true rundown on the 50-50 yard. If CMAC was there and how the blacks feel about it, right? That's righteous. If another brother decides to make a video, I'm not disrespecting the brothers whatsoever. Nothing but black and brown unity on mine. I'm just giving the realness, man. Some people ain't going to like it. Some people are. Some people know I'm true to the game and real. And some people say I ain't. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, that's what it is. You watched it. Thank you. I appreciate you. Gracias. On we go. Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory. And I'm going to do what I does because I got a lifetime supply of black and brownness in me. Bang! You know what it is. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive and struggle and strive for what I truly and honestly believe in. And that's providing you the best content I can make right here on YouTube. Shout out to all and every channel, even those little struggling channels using my name to come up. Shout out to everybody because I don't hate, homes. And a lot of these stories you're making up, ooh, fugazi. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Get off drugs. The gun.